up in the United States has definitely been a privilege because we have 50 different very unique states to pick from, still under the same United States citizenship, which is rare in the fact that we have such a diverse landscape and different people living in different parts of our country. So with that being said, I've definitely felt as a young adult that maybe I should try move and experience what it would be like to live in a different state. However, I've lived in Minnesota my entire life and there's definitely some pros and cons to living here as well. So I wanted to share with you guys in case maybe you were thinking about moving to Minnesota, or if you're like, I hate it here and thinking the grass might be greener somewhere else. Just wanted to share the major pros and cons of living in Minnesota. My name's Alyssa. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I've never experienced actually living in a different state, but I have been to 20 of the 50 US states in my lifetime so far. I also want to throw out the disclaimer that I personally am considered single. I'm not married legally. I do not have any kids, no pets, anything like that. So I'm not really sure if that will play any role in your decision making, but just want to put that out there right away. So with that being said, we're going to go through the pros and cons of living in Minnesota. First things first, I'm going to be starting out with the cons of living here because that list is actually surprisingly a bit shorter than the pros. I'm just going to say it right away. Yes, the winters suck here. It will be freezing for like 6 months of the year. The other 6 months, perfect, great, amazing. But for those 6 months between like October and March, oh my god, that is when I want to move. Not only is it freezing cold, sometimes school gets canceled, work gets canceled, like business literally will come to a halt due to the weather outside. Sometimes it gets so bad that people can't even leave their house. Like I can't even count how many times that my car has been stuck in my driveway and I'm like, well, I'm not going to work today, I guess. Or like cars will be sliding off the side of the road because there's a snowstorm with ice just glazed over. The next con goes kind of hand in hand with the brutal winters that we have. And on top of that, it is like dark outside most of the day. I think at the darkest time of the year, it's only light here for 9 hours of the day. So if you're someone that needs sunlight to be happy and vibrant, this might not be the place for you. The next con is the crime rate. We're definitely not as bad as like Chicago, for example, but it's definitely getting up there. We have the Twin Cities, St. Paul and Minneapolis, and I feel like there's definitely been an uptick in crime in specific areas. I do want to point out after doing research that the entire state of Minnesota has actually seen an overall decrease in crime rates since last year. And then there's also other like sex trafficking in places like St. Cloud, Minnesota. Bemidji is pretty bad. Robbery rate for some reason too. So just kind of some areas are not the best to be living in, but that's kind of how it is in every state. The next con is that there are potholes and construction everywhere in the summer. Like you'll think finally the roads will be safe and clear after all the snow and ice have left the roads. No, because now there's just gonna be potholes that you're hitting. Your car is gonna feel like the suspension just broke in half. So if it's not one thing on the roads, it's another. One thing that I personally find as another big con after I've been traveling to some smaller states is that this is not a walkable state at all. You need a car, like no matter what. You cannot go anywhere in Minnesota just on foot basically, unless you just happen to be living in like the center of downtown Minneapolis or St. Paul and you have everything right around you that you need. You literally need a car to go anywhere. Kind of going with that as another con is we don't really have a ton of super cool like architecture or historical buildings. I think we have things that go back to the 1800s when like Fort Snelling started popping up architecture in more of the Minneapolis zone. But besides that, we don't really have like a ton of cool vintage colonial vibe cities or like cobblestone road or anything like that. And that is actually every single thing that I had on the list of cons for living in Minnesota. So overall, if you can handle all that, I think you will be perfectly fine. So now I want to jump into what some pros are of living in Minnesota as well. For me, I'm a fall girl, so I've been blessed with having the ability to experience every season every single year. So right now I'm looking outside, the leaves are changing, it's got some crisp fall weather, and I am so excited for it. I honestly feel bad for people that live in states where it's like sunny all year round, because I'm like, how do you not get to experience like snow and Christmas and the crisp autumn weather? And I don't know, it's just like, oh my gosh, geographically, due to where we are, we're not really prone to that many natural disasters. I'd say like the biggest issue that we ever would have is tornadoes and like severe storms every once in a while, but it's really not that big of a deal here. We don't have tsunamis, we don't have hurricanes, we don't have extreme desert temperatures that reach like 110 or anything. I'd say for the most part it's pretty similar day-to-day temperature-wise. Another pro is we have the most beautiful north shoreline of any of the states besides the East Coast. I'd say if you are coming to Minnesota as a visitor, you're probably going to end up on the North Shore on Superior. A few of my personal favorites are going to be Grand Marais, which is at like the way top of Minnesota, and then Two Harbors and Duluth. Obviously, you're all kind of along the shoreline. I love to just go up there. It feels like I'm on the East Coast, but it's only like a 2-hour drive from Minneapolis. Something that pretty much every Minnesotan can agree on is that you can live any lifestyle that you want to live here. You can live in the middle of nowhere on a cornfield and raise cattle, or you could live in the heart of Minneapolis and be a hustling city girl. Anything you want to do, you can do here. Like I said, you still need to have a car, but you can pretty much have any lifestyle that you want. Kind of going off of that too, if you live here, you're gonna know someone that has a boat or a cabin and you can just have a lake day with them. We have so many lakes. That's literally like one of the main things that we're known for, and so it's very common on a weekend during the summer or spring to go to a cabin and hang out on the lake with some friends. This is another little bonus pro I just wanted to throw in there. We have a Caribou coffee here. Like pretty much everywhere. It's, I'd say, debatably more popular than Starbucks, and it is the best quality coffee in my personal opinion. You can argue with me in the comments, but I love a Caribou coffee. I'm like proud that we have it in Minnesota. Going off of specific things that we have as attractions here, we have some pretty cool stuff. We actually have the largest mall in the entire United States here. It's called the Mall of America. And then we also have the second largest state fair in the entire country as well. So the Minnesota State Fair is hosted every single year. I actually just did a full YouTube video regarding trying some new food items for the year, so check that out if you want to as well. But over 2 million people usually attend each year. And the nice thing too is that we actually do not have sales tax on clothing. So a lot of people will tend to travel in, go to the Mall of America, buy a bunch of clothes, and then go home with it because they're not paying tax on any of it. Next, as far as another cost related thing, our cost of living in general is actually lower than the national average. So yes, our wages are lower, but so is our cost of living relative to that. So you're still kind of getting a good value out of your money here. You may disagree because prices have gone up literally everywhere, but if you look at the statistics, Minnesota does rank below the national average. The average rent price is about $1,400 in Minnesota, and then the average home price is $255,000 for a single family starter home. It's also really nice if you are into fitness and just want to get outdoors and kind of stay active, because we are very known for having some good trails to bike on. I think we're another top ranking state when it comes to having access to bike trails and paved bike specific trails around the entire state. So if you're someone that likes to bike, you're definitely going to find somewhere good to go while you're here. And then last but not least, if you ever are looking to get out of Minnesota, it's not that far of a flight pretty much in any direction. I think the longest flight I've ever been on is like 4 hours, but pretty much any direction you go, you can get there within 4 hours. So it's a pretty nice centralized spot to hang out. And that is all the pros and cons that I can think of for Minnesota. If you also live here, definitely comment down below what else you can think of that I maybe forgot. Hopefully this is helpful too. Like I said, if anyone is planning on moving to the state and doesn't really know if it's worth it or not, I would absolutely say that the pros outweigh all the cons. It's definitely not a party heavy state. Like, I feel like a lot of people come here to settle down, have kids, and just kind of live like a slower paced life. So if you're someone that also would maybe enjoy that, then I do think this would be a good state for you. Make sure to subscribe if you do want to stick around on my channel to see my other videos. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in my next one. Bye!